Vanakkam, everyone. Again, we are very happy to have everyone for another M&M Nanbargal event, and it's a honor, to have experts from different fields come and join us and give us share their knowledge and expertise with us, and it's all in the intent that we will somehow improve Tamil Nadu and the lives of the people around us in Tamil Nadu. That's our intention. And Makkal Needhi Mayyam President, our Talaivar Kamal Hassan, has been very instrumental in ensuring that happens. And that's the goal he is working towards as well. So, and for today, we have Mr. Venki Raghavendra. For those of you not familiar with Venki Raghavendra, the organization that he is associated with, Venki is originally from Bangalore. So, Channagidra, Venki.
Chennagidini.
So he is originally from Bangalore, but he is based in New York now. And he has been a philanthropist from a very young age. And also, he's been helping people become entrepreneurs. And this is a long journey, which has culminated and has ended up working with some of the top names in the world. He has worked for an organization called Ashoka, that's actually thriving in a way to encourage entrepreneurs. And he's been mentoring and coaching people as well in that sphere. And he's been associated, he's with Safe Water Network, and that's just a brilliant organization. It was an organization started by the late actor Paul Newman, and they are instrumental in ensuring the people that need water have got access to clean and safe water around the world in different parts, including India. And that's something that we will talk about today. And I'm certain Venki would be kind enough to take us through that journey as well. And we also would look at women's empowerment, how do we bring housewives into the workforce? How do we make them and their work count towards the GDP of our nation? One of the objectives of Mr. Kamal Hassan is he wants to ensure the housewives and their work is counted towards the GDP as well. So he was talking about that, and it's there as one of the policies enshrined within the M&M party as well. And just for Venki and Marisa and colleagues from Safe Water, we M&M friends, we are not an official party itself. We are just an organization formed by a group of individuals in the UK who are interested in helping our Talaivar Kamal Hassan to achieve the goals and vision in Tamil Nadu. And we are loosely associated with the party. And so we run these events as ways and means to increase the visibility, make awareness on key issues like water, like governance, and so on, that are very important if we have to usher in a new political change in the state of Tamil Nadu in India. So that's our organization. As I said, we have colleagues from different parts of the world with us that have joined from our team. From India, we have colleagues from Bangalore, we have people from London, Coimbatore, Chennai, and we will have people joining from the US as well, and from Europe shortly. So you will see all of them. And the format, just for those of you who've just joined, is Venki will now talk about his own journey across these lands, he has traveled far and wide, and he will take us through all that. And then he will talk about Safe Water. He'll talk about women's empowerment and entrepreneurship as well. Following that, we'll have the regular Q&A sessions, and we will take questions from the team that is assembled here on Zoom, and also from audience. We are live casting on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Any questions that comes from there, we will channel it through, and we will ask Venki and his team here. So again, a short brief in Tamil, எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். நாம் மக்கள் நீதி மையம் நண்பர்கள் குழுமம் நிறைய இந்த மாதிரி நிகழ்ச்சிகளை செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கோம். இந்த வார நிகழ்ச்சியில திரு வெங்கி ராகவேந்திரா அவர்கள் பெங்களூரை சேர்ந்தவர், ஆனால் அமெரிக்காவில் வசிக்கிறார். அவர் வந்து சேஃப் வாட்டர் அப்படிங்கிறது எப்படி நல்ல தூய குடி தண்ணீர் எல்லாருக்கும் போய் சேரணும். அந்த நிறுவனத்துல வந்து அவரு தேர்ச்சி பெற்றவர். அதே போல வீட்டு வேலை செய்யும் வீட்டில் இருக்கும் அம்மாமார்கள், மனைவிமார்கள் அவர்களின் உழைப்பும் வந்து நம்ம தலைவர் சொன்னது போல் ஜிடிபியில் வந்து சேரணும். அவங்களுக்கு என்ன ஊதியம் வரும், அவங்கள வந்து இவங்க சேஃப் வாட்டர் நெட்வொர்க் எப்படி பயன்படுத்துறாங்க போன்ற விஷயங்களையும் நம்ம பார்க்க போறோம். எதுவும் கேள்விகள் இருந்தா நீங்க தாராளமாக இங்க கேட்கலாம். ஸோ வெங்கி, ஓவர் டு யூ. I will let you take charge from here on.
எல்லாருக்கும் நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள். எனக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு உங்களோட பேசுறதுக்கு. MNM நண்பர்கள் மூலமா கிடைச்ச அவகாசத்துக்கு என்ன மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள். I will switch over to English now. I'm proud to say that I follow a good bit of Tamil, but spoken Tamil it takes a little bit of effort, but I'm so honored to be engaging and talking to all of you. I hope this is a rich conversation. It's such an important topic to all of us in any which way we look at it, and let's also hope this is one of the first conversations towards ushering some meaningful changes on the ground in Tamil Nadu. So I'm very honored to be invited by Mr. Kannan, and then to have all of your wonderful company. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here on the east coast of America. So the way I'm looking at the next 45 minutes to an hour 15 minutes, depending on how much energy we all have. I want to spend 2-3 minutes talking about my own journey into philanthropy and social entrepreneurship, because all of you might be wondering, who's this chap sitting somewhere in America talking about water and social change and communities and so on. I'll give you that background. Soon after that, we will switch over to one very interesting video where a woman in outside of Warangal district in Telangana, she talks about how, quote unquote, a homemaker, a housewife becomes a entrepreneur, a water entrepreneur in the community. Much has been actually written about in the Hindu and all of the other newspapers about this effort, what we call as womenpreneurs or waterpreneurs, as we call them. Then we will talk a little bit about our efforts of Safe Water Network to really use the entrepreneurship model to really make communities self-reliant with safe water. We'll talk about that. Then we have a couple of other short videos, 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos, and then we will flow into that conversation, and then we will then take some question and answers after that. Mr. Kannan, is that plan okay? Yeah. So without further ado, I want to state a few things at the outset before I talk about myself. The real champions and the real heroes and the real people who should be celebrated are my colleagues, and there are many organizations doing this effort who are working on the ground even right now. We've all seen since mid-March how tough it has been even to do what we consider the most normal of things, to leave the village, go to a town, jump on a bus, or go on a bike, go to the next village and get some water in a can, clean water. Even the most normal of activities in the villages, and we saw how some of the zones were red containment zones. Even the most normal of activities have become so difficult. So my colleagues who are working in the states of Telangana and Karnataka and Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh and so many other organizations, many of them are working in Tamil Nadu as well. Most of them have ensured that these water stations continue to work even in the middle of the pandemic. Imagine, everybody says, wash your hands for 90 seconds, do this, do that. Imagine if you don't even have access to clean water, how are you going to use soap and water and wash hands, right? First, you need clean water for that. So my hats off to all the colleagues on the ground, and really, these are the real Corona warriors, and it's no exaggeration. They are putting their own health and lives at risk and making sure that the stations are working. So my colleagues, It's a phenomenal team. We are a very, very proud team, led by our country director, Ravi Sevak. And one of these days, you'll all get to interact with him. And Poonam Sevak and the rest of the team. They're doing a phenomenal job on the ground. So I wanted to state that at the outset. Two, we are very lucky and proud to have an amazing network of friends, volunteers, because this is a humongous effort. Let's not fool ourselves thinking that if small set of people can make a big change in such a vast geography. India is a big country with so many complexities. So there's always an army of volunteers and friends. And look at this network of people, right? It's amazing to see a community. So there's always an army of people, a group of people behind this. I'm very happy that my colleague Marisa Jaffa from New York is on this call. She's involved. I want to quickly mention three people, just as symbolic of the kind of collective effort that's behind. There's a young 12th standard student girl from Bangalore, Manogna Kishore. I think she's on the call as well. She did all the background research for me and provided me all the background information. So thank you, Manogna. There's another young volunteer. She's actually from Delhi. She's relocated to Bangalore. Her name is Akanksha Kurana. She's worked with social entrepreneurs across the country. She's a young social entrepreneur and she's done a lot of background work for me. And one other name I want to quickly mention is Dr. Kavita Kandaswamy. She's originally from Coimbatore, but she's a very senior English professor in Bangalore. She gave me a little bit of Tamil coaching, but she's been a very active volunteer as well in our efforts. So I just wanted to say that because there are so many people behind this effort, and you'll see that. So that's the quick acknowledgements I wanted to do at the outset before jumping into anything else. Very briefly about me, if I get carried away, I talk too much about myself, but very briefly, it's been almost 33 years of social entrepreneurship and philanthropic work. It's okay to call me a philanthropist in a very broad sense. Philanthropist is someone who has a lot of wealth and is actually investing that money in good philanthropic causes. But I see myself, the philanthropist definition is also someone who enables good work in the community and good philanthropic work. So to that extent, I am a philanthropist, but I see myself as a social entrepreneur who I've had the joy of taking on big problems, big issues, and really rallying a community around it and trying to find the solutions to these problems. Mr. Kannan mentioned my work with Ashoka. Ashoka is a global social entrepreneurship organization. There are many Ashoka fellows in Tamil Nadu as well. So I spent about 8 to 10 years working with Ashoka, and I'll tell you what I did before that. But what that enabled me was to work all over the world and understand the solutions that each of these social entrepreneurs are finding, from housing to forest redevelopment to clean water to young people and jobs and economic prosperity and public health. These are social entrepreneurs who are tackling very, very big problems around the world. So I was able to spend time in different countries, and a lot of it in South Asia, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, in Bangladesh, and so on and so forth. And of course, all across India, to see how do these social entrepreneurs tackle these problems. And I learned a lot from that. But prior to that, I worked for about 15 years in the communities of the forests of Karnataka, engaging with a lot of the local communities. And I really got my hands dirty seeing how does change happen at the micro level, at the panchayat level, at the village level, at the district level, and so on. So that was great learning. In fact, that was what led me to Ashoka. Following my time at Ashoka, I joined an amazing platform called the American India Foundation, which was actually President Clinton was instrumental in launching that with some of this very successful Indian diaspora in the US. I worked as the Chief Philanthropy Officer of the American India Foundation for a number of years. It's one of the biggest philanthropic bridges between America and India. And what again that enabled me was to work with the diaspora across the US and really galvanize ideas, innovations, funding, of course, and good partnerships to really bring about change in India. But I also want to emphasize that it's a two-way process. It's a two-way bridge. I don't want to sound like all the good solutions are in the West. No. In fact, the good solutions and a lot of good work is happening in India, and the West can learn from that also. Only 3 years ago, I was drawn to the issue of water. and I was invited by Safe Water Network to join their team. Although Safe Water Network works in different parts of the world, is physically on the ground in the country of Ghana, and our footprint is quite visible all over the world, including India and Ghana. I was very clear that I would focus on India because the need for safe water and clean water is already such a big issue in India. I wanted to make sure that I use my 30 plus years of experience and knowledge and networks and insights into applying to what is happening on the ground in India. I'm a strong believer that understanding the socio-economic context is critical for social change. We have seen a lot of people parachute in and bring their solutions and say, hey, you people should be living like this. You people should change your lives like this. Who are we to tell someone else how they should be living, right? So for me to be tuned into the socio-economic context, the cultural framework, if you will, the cultural ecosystem, it was very critical for someone who aspires to I won't use the word make change, but be a part of the change. So for me, I can speak a few South Indian languages. Although Kannada is my mother tongue, I can speak Telugu, I can speak Tamil, I can follow a little bit of Malayalam. I speak Hindi very well. So for me to be able to go into the communities, engage with the communities, and be a part of the change along with the communities was very important. So last 3 years has been fabulous with Safe Water Network. Before we show the first video, which we luckily, I want to acknowledge another fabulous organization based in Chennai. It's called Nalanda Way. My good friend Sriram Iyer, who I would love to introduce to M&M Nanbargal, is an amazing change maker and a social entrepreneur. He's been working for a number of years. He has worked with Kamala Hassan ji as well. On his focus is on young children and really empowering underprivileged children with opportunities, including education opportunities and learning opportunities. So he was kind enough to get the voiceover in Tamil done for one of the videos. So I hope that is helpful. But before, I just want to give a very, very big overview of Safe Water Network. We are in direct service delivery. We go into the communities, we set up our water kiosks and make sure that thousands of people, including millions of people, get access to safe water at very, very affordable prices. Having said that, that is only one part of what we do. For us, just direct service delivery is only in a scale of India where with 1.2 plus billion people and across the world, we have 2 billion people without access to safe water. We can't just do incremental progress. So we are always looking at exponential change. So while we have set up the model, it serves as a laboratory for us to understand how change works, how service delivery works. We use those lessons, we use those insights, take it to different parts of the world and take it to different contexts and customize it to that context, and then apply, and not only directly apply, but help others apply it to those contexts. So that's the second part of our work, which is sector engagement, sector advocacy, really disseminating the information. We are very proud of some of the publications that we bring out. Then there is a third piece of our work, which is the alliance building. Very proud to say again that in India, we have created what is known as the Small Water Enterprise Alliance. We have brought together about 15 different organizations to work collectively to share best practices. And I'll share a little screenshot later of a story in the Hindu recently of a water knowledge center that was recently inaugurated in Chennai. I'll share that later. So it's not in a context like India. Let's not think about the rest of the world. It's too big to think right now. But in a context like India, yes, there are so many thousands and thousands of organizations doing work. But unless these organizations come together, share best practices, share knowledge, yes, we can change things in a few villages here and a few towns there. But if we really want to have a systemic, broader impact, these organizations have to come together in public health, in water, in education, in environment, and so on and so forth. So this collective effort is very important. So just to repeat, demonstration at scale, on the ground, engaging the sector, working with policymakers, working with the other like-minded people, and 3, doing the collective effort of alliance building and sharing knowledge. So that's the way we work. So I don't want to get into just too much of technical information, but when you see how this all manifests in a very, very particular community with a woman water entrepreneur, with a women waterpreneur, I think that will make it more apparent to you, and then we can talk about it. So, Mr. Kannan, if you can start the first video, I would appreciate it.
Is the women the one on Tamil voiceover, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Just one second, I will just share it. Let me know if you can hear the audio, please.
நீரும் பெண்களும் வரலாற்று ரீதியாக தொடர்புடையவர்கள். பெண்களே வீட்டிற்கு தேவையான நீரை எடுத்துக் கொண்டு வந்து குடும்பத்தில் உள்ள அனைவரையும் கவனித்துக் கொள்கின்றனர். ஐஜல் நிலைய முன்முயற்சியால் பெண்களை இன்னும் முக்கிய பங்கு வகிப்பவர்களாக மாற்றியுள்ளோம். பெண்கள் ஜிடிபியில் பங்களிக்க தொடங்கினால் அநேகமாக ஜிடிபியில் நாம் மிக வேகமாக வளர தொடங்குவோம். எனவே பெண்களுக்கான அதிகாரம் அளித்து அவர்களை மேம்படுத்துவது எங்களுக்கு மிகவும் முக்கியமானது. அதனால் பெண்கள் தங்கள் சொந்த வாழ்வில் மட்டுமில்லாமல் எதிர்கால சந்ததியினர் வாழ்விலும் குறிப்பிடத்தக்க மாற்றத்தை உருவாக்க முடியும். என் பெயர் பத்மஜா. நான் ரங்கசாய்பேட்டை கிராமத்தை சேர்ந்தவள். எங்கள் ரங்கசாய்பேட்டை கிராமத்துல குடிநீர் குழாய் மூலம் செய்யப்படும் தண்ணீர் விநியோகம் சரிவர நடக்கிறது இல்ல. அப்படியே தண்ணி வந்தாலும் அது சுத்தமா இருக்கிறது இல்ல. அதனால நாங்க இந்த
Sorry, is everyone not able to see the video?
Venki, the video is not visible, Kannan.
Sorry?
The video is not visible. It's just a black screen and...
Oh, really? Okay, sorry. Just 1 second, please.
Oh, some people are able to see. I don't know why it's...
Let me get back into Zoom. I thought I was in Zoom.
Sorry? The video is not visible. It's just a black screen.
I mean, are you able to see my screen now, or?
We are able to see your screen, but not the video.
Okay. It's very weird. What about now?
Only the voice, not only the voice, but
only the voice. Is it okay? If I make you the host, you think you'll be able to share it? Just 1 second. Why is this? Let me close the thing and share it. Doing share screen. If I make you the host, you think you'll be able to share? Okay, share computer sound. Share. How about now? Doing share screen. If I make you the host.
Now we can see. Now it's good.
நீரும் பெண்களும் வரலாற்று ரீதியாக தொடர்புடையவர்கள். பெண்களே வீட்டிற்கு தேவையான நீரை எடுத்துக் கொண்டு வந்து குடும்பத்தில் உள்ள அனைவரையும் கவனித்துக் கொள்கின்றனர். ஐஜல் நிலைய முன்முயற்சியால் பெண்களை இன்னும் முக்கிய பங்கு வகிப்பவர்களாக மாற்றியுள்ளோம். பெண்கள் ஜிடிபியில் பங்களிக்க தொடங்கினால் அநேகமாக ஜிடிபியில் நாம் மிக வேகமாக வளர தொடங்குவோம். எனவே பெண்களுக்கான அதிகாரம் அளித்து அவர்களை மேம்படுத்துவது எங்களுக்கு மிகவும் முக்கியமானது. அதனால் பெண்கள் தங்கள் சொந்த வாழ்வில் மட்டுமில்லாமல் எதிர்கால சந்ததியினர் வாழ்விலும் குறிப்பிடத்தக்க மாற்றத்தை உருவாக்க முடியும். என் பெயர் பத்மஜா. நான் ரங்கசாய்பேட்டை கிராமத்தை சேர்ந்தவள். எங்கள் ரங்கசாய்பேட்டை கிராமத்துல குடிநீர் குழாய் மூலம் செய்யப்படும் தண்ணீர் விநியோகம் சரிவர நடக்கிறது இல்ல. அப்படியே தண்ணி வந்தாலும் அது சுத்தமா இருக்கிறது இல்ல. அதனால நாங்க இந்த ஆலைய அமைச்சோம். நான் தான் ஐஜல் பிளான்ட நடத்துறேன். நான் காலையில 5:30 மணிக்கு எழுந்திருக்கிறேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் என்னோட எல்லா வீட்டு வேலையும் செய்வேன். என்னோட பொண்ணு காலேஜுக்கும் வீட்டுக்கார ஆபீஸ்க்கும் அனுப்பிட்டு 11-12 மணிக்குள்ள பிளான்ட்டுக்கு வந்துருவேன். பிளான்ட்டுக்கு வந்ததும் எல்லா புக்ஸையும் செக் பண்ணுவேன். ரீசார்ஜ் கார்டு கம்மியா இருந்தா அது ரீசார்ஜ் பண்ணுவேன். பிளான்ட்ல எல்லாம் சரியா இருக்கான்னு செக் பண்ணுவேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் லஞ்சுக்கு சாப்பிட போவாங்க. அப்ப நான் பிளான்ட்லயே தான் இருப்பேன். அவங்க சாப்பிட்டுட்டு திரும்பி வந்ததும் நான் வீட்டுக்கு போவேன். திரும்பவும் 6 மணிக்கு பிளான்ட்டுக்கு வருவேன். சேஃப் வாட்டர் நெட்வொர்க் எங்களுக்கு ட்ரைனிங் கொடுப்பாங்க. பெண்களை வீட்டு விட்டு வெளியே அழைச்சிட்டு வந்து ஒரு நிர்வாகத்தை நடத்த வைக்கிறது எங்களுக்கு எளிதான காரியம் இல்ல. அவங்கள வெளியில கொண்டு வந்து அவங்களுக்கு பயிற்சி அளிக்க அவங்களோட உள்ளூர் மொழியிலேயே பயிற்சி திட்டங்களை உருவாக்கணும். டேப்லெட்ஸை பயன்படுத்துறதுக்கு மட்டும் இல்லாம ஆலய நிர்வாகத்துக்கு நாங்க டிஜிட்டல் தொழில்நுட்பத்தை பயன்படுத்தணும். நாங்க ரிமோட் மானிட்டரிங் சிஸ்டத்தையும் வாட்டர் ஏடிஎம் சிஸ்டத்தையும் பயன்படுத்துறதால அவங்களுக்கு நேரத்துல சில தளர்வுகள் இருக்கு. அவங்களுக்கு தகுந்த நேரத்துல அவங்களால தண்ணீரை விநியோகிக்க முடியும். அந்த மிஷின் வாரத்துல 24 மணி நேரமும் வேலை செய்யறதால மிக அதிகமான வாடிக்கையாளர்களை கையாள முடியும். RMS உதவியால இந்த ஆலையை தன்னிச்சையாக இயக்க முடியும். நாம அங்க இருக்கணுங்கிற அவசியமே இல்ல, அது தன்னிச்சையாகவே இயங்கும். இங்க சோலார் பிளான்ட் இருக்கு. கரண்ட் போனாலும் சோலார் பிளான்ட் மூலமா இயங்கும். இது மாதிரி தொழில்நுட்பம் இருக்கிறதுனால என்னால வீட்டையும் ஆலையையும் பாத்துக்க முடியுது. நாங்க இந்த ஆலையை அமைச்ச பிறகு இங்க எல்லாராலையும் மலிவு விலையில நல்ல தண்ணீரை குடிக்க முடியுது. முன்னாடி எல்லா பெண்கள் நாங்க தான் கிணத்துல இருந்தும் குழாயில இருந்தும் குடிக்க தண்ணி பிடிச்சிட்டு வருவோம். ஆனா இந்த ஐஜல் ஆலை வந்த பிறகு நிறைய ஆண்கள் தண்ணீர் எடுக்க வராங்க. ஆண்கள் அவங்களோட பைக்ல வந்து தண்ணீர் எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்க. இந்த பிசினஸுக்கு வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறமா எனக்கு நிறைய கான்பிடன்ஸ் வந்திருக்கு. இதுக்கு முன்னாடி பத்மஜானா ஹவுஸ் மட்டும்தான். ஆனா இப்போ என்ன எல்லாருக்கும் ஐஜல் ஸ்டேஷன் ஆண்டின்னு தெரியும். இந்த வேலையை செய்யறதுல நான் ரொம்ப பெருமைப்படுறேன். பெண்கள் மேம்பாடு மற்றும் சுத்தமான குடிநீரும் ஒரு நாணயத்தின் 2 பக்கங்கள் போல. SDG கோல்ஸ் அடையறதுக்கு பெண்கள் மிகப்பெரிய மாற்றமா இருப்பாங்க அப்படிங்கறத நிரூபிச்சிருக்காங்க. ஆனா பெரிய மாற்றத்தை கொண்டு வரதுன்னா பாலின சமத்துவம், வறுமை ஒழிப்பு, சமூகத்துல உள்ளவங்களை திறமையாளர்களாக மாத்துறது, சுத்தமான குடிநீர், அப்புறம் சமூகத்துல மாற்றத்தக்க மாற்றத்தை கொண்டு வரது.
Yeah, that was brilliant video.
Thank you. It was nice to see that the video worked and the technology cooperated. Yes. I just want to use the video as a conversation starter. So it's a classic example of how one water station in one community can be a transformative thing, both for the community as well as the particular woman entrepreneur there. We've been able to do this across the state. Let me use only Telangana as an example. We have literally blanketed the entire state of Telangana with such water kiosks. Each one serves 4,000 to 5,000 people. And in many places, we have been promoting women water entrepreneurs as much as possible. And I want to just share one particular image, and that way that can so you see this particular image. I hope you can see the group of women sitting there and working. I want to use this as a small example. The district of Medak in Telangana, many years ago, there was a women district magistrate. The MLA of that district happened to be a woman. She also was the deputy speaker of the Telangana Vidhan Sabha. And there was a groundswell of support to really encourage women entrepreneurship there. So one of the amazing models that we are using is the self-help groups of women. So it's a group of 10 to 12 women who come together and run one IGEL station, such as the one that you see in this picture. Imagine a enterprise owned by a group of women, and them managing the financials, managing the people, managing the community, and really running a small business of their own. It's both such a powerful statement of enterprise, as well as such a matter of self-pride for the women and the community itself. So we were able to establish 34 such stations across the district of Medak, and it's become a role model. It's become a model for us, wherein groups of self-help groups of women come together and really run these stations. Similarly, Gadchiroli district in Maharashtra is one of the most impoverished districts, and it is a part of the aspirational districts of Government of India. We've been able to work with the district administration there and set up similar stations. I mentioned Medak district and Gadchiroli, one of the toughest districts to work in India, as if we can galvanize and create that kind of a transformative experience and transformative change in a community, especially led by women, I think it's a phenomenal accomplishment. And again, you saw Poonam Sevak in the video there. So it's really amazing the kind of leadership that we have to make these possible. So that is the actual work that we do on the ground. And just to reinforce something, while we do this, we've learned a lot in the process. You know, there is in every network of stations that we set up, there is active technical assistance that we provide. You might be shocked to hear that most of our station performance is at 98% performance level. That means at any given point of time, there's only 2% downtime of these stations. To maintain this sophisticated technology, to run these stations with that kind of a performance in some of the remotest parts of India, with poor roads and poor electricity and all of that, it's quite a feat. So we take a lot of pride in that level of performance. One quick word about technology. Every day, you know, as you know, clean water, safe water, people are drinking water. It's very important to maintain certain health standards and hygienic standards. Every day, 14 to 15 parameters are checked, and we have used IoT, the Internet of Things, and remote monitoring technology to be able to monitor just with a smartphone. Just with a smartphone, we are able to manage and monitor these parameters from chlorine level to everything else on a daily basis, sitting anywhere in the country. So it's one thing is community trust and community engagement. Two is the very important role of technology. As you all know, technology can help leapfrog some of the barriers that we have with regard to infrastructure. I'll mention one quick thing before we get some reactions and maybe respond to that and go to the next video, is the partnership with the local government, you know, from the village panchayat to the district administration to the state level. I'm not talking about the national policy. I'll mention that in a second. We need forget about active support. At least we don't want them to be roadblocks. Let me put it that way. From the grassroots administration to the state level administration, we need their positivity, we need their support to be able to make all this possible. For example, you know, we have set up these kiosks even in the urban area. You know, Hyderabad is one of the first cities. In the city of Hyderabad, we have set up these stations. You need permission of 10 government departments to set up one urban kiosk. So imagine the bureaucracy and the red tape one has to deal with. So unless you have a positive, active government and administrative support, it becomes very hard to deliver these services. So we've been very lucky to get good support right from the community level to the state administration level. One last point about national policy. We are very proud Safe Water Network was involved in crafting the national clean water policy, safe water policy called the Har Ghar Jal report. So Har Ghar Jal is the national water policy that was brought, which is a water in every home policy that was crafted about 3 years ago. And we were one of the key architects of that policy as well. So from Government of India at the national policy level, working with Niti Aayog, working with Ministry of Clean Drinking Water, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to the state administration, because delivery of water is a state subject, it's a state matter, to the district administration, because when you go into a district, you need the district administration support, all the way down to the village panchayat, which is the grassroots, right? We don't even set up a kiosk without the written explicit permission of the village panchayat. In fact, the village panchayat helps identify the entrepreneur, because we don't want to be an external party coming in and saying, hey, this person should run the kiosk, that person should run the kiosk. So support and engagement at all levels, community engagement, the role of women, and direct service delivery, and active dissemination of information. I just wanted to give you all the lay of the land of this. And there are other broader aspects of water I'll come into. I'm only looking at this very particular slice, very particular intervention. But I just wanted to lay that out and see what kind of reactions at least we have at this point of time.
Sure.
That's, if there are any specific questions, we can take it.
Yes, yes. You want to stop the share screen, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oops.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's great. Like, that's wonderful. That video where you show that woman entrepreneur, like, how she runs things at the plant and everything. It's really an eye opener, and especially in a water starved state like Tamil Nadu. Like, we would, those kind of plans, or like, it's like manna from heaven, as they call it, like, so it's just brilliant. And yesterday we had a session on village panchayat, like, Gram Sabha and all that, like, where they talk about grassroots governance, the involvement of women and youth in the panchayat level. And then that correlates with what you just said about how you identify these entrepreneurs from the panchayat itself. Like, it's not you coming in from the outside and pointing, okay, this person will lead it or that person will lead it. That's brilliant. We have the first question. Ms. Sushila, she is interested in asking about how you get the water and all that. I will give it to her so that she can ask the question herself. Sushila, madam, please go ahead.
Thank you, Kannan. Thank you, Venki. I think I can call you that.
Please, madam, please.
It was really lovely to listen to what you had to say. Thank you so much. And see, I think my first question was, you mentioned the word water station, but I think it's the iGel plant, right? Am I correct? Okay, so that you don't have to explain that.
It is.
But there are many questions because water is so essential, and so many are without clean drinking water. So for these iGel plants, where do you get your water from, and then how do you treat it in order to get the required standards, and then is there any wastewater created, and then how do you deal with the wastewater? 3 related questions.
Thank you, madam, and all of you, everybody should feel free to call me Venki. In fact, I saw even in the chat message, I see related questions. It gives me a great opening to kind of broaden the conversation a little bit. Safe Water Network is very, very clear, right? We are, to use another expression, we are a drop in the ocean, right? We are very clear about our part of the intervention, and we have really finished it, we have really mastered it, and we have demonstrated it. By which I mean, water is a very, very broad issue. Water is a very big issue. There is the whole question of the sourcing of water. There is the question of groundwater, the water table itself. There is the whole question of salination of water. There is the question of agricultural water needs and so on. Water is a very, very vast subject. Our focus is on ensuring that people do not have to drink contaminated water and fall ill. Many of you may be aware, 80% of the hospital beds in India are because of waterborne diseases. Imagine the positive health and the health economics of the country or the state that can be transformed if you just eliminate waterborne diseases. Even today, I come from the city of Bangalore. There's still cholera breakouts. I was reading a newspaper report that even in Chennai, there were cholera breakouts. So if we remove water contamination, you're already removing so many hospitalizations and hospital visits. Imagine people living in remote villages and so on. Some of them have to journey for 2-3 hours to even reach the nearest hospital. The whole family goes with them. They lose a day's work. Many of these are agricultural laborers. I give the background context because there are other underlying issues, related issues, including availability of water that needs to be addressed. The way we do it is we see it in a holistic manner. While we focus on contamination, we always encourage and promote the community and encourage behavior change and we incorporate educational activities, including if you go to Telangana, you'll see posters in Telugu and so on, where we educate people about conservation of water. We promote rainwater harvesting in communities. In fact, wherever possible, we've integrated rainwater harvesting. We promote saving tanks and lakes and so on, and wells and so on. So conserving water, saving water sources is an integral part of our messaging, of our effort, but our actual work is focused on decontamination and making sure that people get safe, affordable water. Having said that, we do need a reliable water source to be able to keep these IGL stations running. Typically, it's a bore well. It could be even surface water. It could be lake. It could be any source of water, but without a reliable source of water, the IGL station cannot function. So we do map out, we take the hydrological surveys, we do map out the water resource and water availability before we actually set up the station. Secondly, to your quick point, we typically use reverse osmosis, although we have used nanotechnology and others in other ways. Reverse osmosis is the most typical manner in which we do the decontamination and purification. Yes, there is a certain part of wastewater, but we have been able to adhere to the standards set up by Government of India, and we are able to repurpose some of the water for cleaning purposes and other purposes in the community. So we are able to manage the waste as best as possible. That's how we look at water in a holistic manner, and that's the technology that we use. And so far, we've been able to really keep it sustainable and keep it going. So I hope that that answers your question.
Thank you. I have further questions, but I give others a chance before coming back.
No, thank you, madam, for your question. That was very useful. And next I have Kannimara Balakrishnan. He has a question. He's asking about the commercials, but we'll get to that later. But Balakrishnan, please unmute.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Please.
வணக்கம். இந்த ஐஜிஎல் பிளான்ட் அமைக்கிறதுக்கு குறைஞ்சது எவ்வளவு செலவாகும் சார்? ஒரு பிளான்ட்ல எத்தனை பேருக்கு வேலை கிடைக்கும்? இதுக்கு அரசாங்கத்தின் அனுமதி சீக்கிரமா ஈஸியா கிடைக்குமா?
Okay. So, Venki, 3 parts. I don't know if you understood fully. What Balakrishnan is asking is,
I understood partly, yeah.
The cost of setting up a plant, and then how many people would be employed at the plant, and then the time it takes for the government to give you, permission to start.
Permission.
Thank you,
Yes.
Balakrishnan.
Yeah. Well, good questions. And again, the IGEL station and the IGEL plant is one model of change. I want to just, before I will definitely answer those questions. I also want, this is also an opportunity for us to think about innovative solutions in the community and not think of it as the only solution in the community. This is also an opportunity to think about the importance of safe, clean water and how it impacts every facet of life in the community. But coming to your specific question, the investment for one of the sophisticated, ours is what you call as the real, in a one way to put it, is the high-end model. It could cost almost 25 to 30 lakhs to set up one IGEL station. But I want to share that the oldest station is about 11 years old that we have set up in Telangana. It's working as new. So if you extrapolate that investment over a 11-year period and imagine 4,000 to 5,000 people being able to access that water over that period of time and on an ongoing basis, the cost per person really comes down to nothing. That is one. The second part of your question, which is employment, right? There is direct employment and there's indirect employment that's generated. One family typically is able to actually, quote unquote, own the station and it becomes their own enterprise. Besides that, there are 3-4 other people who will gain employment because you need a small team of technicians covering a particular set of IGEL stations and provide technical support. So on an average, about 4 to 5 jobs are created for every station directly. I want to tell you quickly about the indirect employment and indirect livelihoods creation. There is a scope for a lot of small businesses, right? There could be a juice stall. There could be an ice cream making unit, and so on and so forth. I can give you multiple examples of such small enterprises and such small businesses that can emerge in the community just because they have access to safe, affordable water. The last point, and I'm giving very succinct answers, and I'm happy to talk a little more. And I see one more question in the chat. I want to react to that quickly as well. The third point about government permissions. As I said earlier, the delivery of clean water, safe water in the communities is a state subject. Having said that, Government of India has made a claim. I don't know to what extent they will be able to execute it, but right now, 1 lakh households are getting piped water every day. So in other words, you may ask me, what will happen to Aijal stations if every house in India has piped water, right? That is the aspirational thing. But we have been hearing aspirational promises almost ever since independence, but that's another story. But rapidly piped water is becoming a reality in India. We are also rethinking where it's not, Aijal station is one part of it, but we are bringing a lot of other competencies along with it. And I'll have another amazing example of that, of our work with Government of Karnataka. But when it comes to actual execution, you need a broader permission at the state level, including the rural development minister, who we generally work with. Then you need the district administration support, and you need the village panchayat permission. How expeditiously, how quickly, how efficiently they do that is anybody's guess. But luckily for us, in the 3 or 4 states that we have been working, we have been able to establish that rapport because, again, to be very honest, we come with a lot of moral authority. There is no personal stake. It's not a personal business for us. We raise the money to set up these Aijal stations. We care about this issue. There is no agenda here. So we go and we say, sir, madam, can you give us this permission to do this? And we engage them. And I'll show you. It's a good. You give me a good segue to share one other picture. I want to share this picture, and it's a good example, right? If you want us to put the chief minister's photo, if you want us to put the minister's photo, if you want us to make you look good, we will, because we are in this together, right? Because that's the whole purpose. It's not about my glorification. It's not about Safe Water Network's image. It's about delivering clean water to the people on the ground. So the government question is something that's it depends on the particular government. I have another amazing story about Government of Karnataka, but I'll save that for after the next video. But there's one other interesting question that has come up. Somebody has asked me, can you share the artifact? Can you share the model? Can you share the template? I want to tell the whole audience and my colleagues in India, when I told them about this opportunity, we are an open source organization. We share every aspect of our model with no hesitation with the community. If someone else wants to raise money, set up the station, make it function and serve the community, we are the happiest. In fact, I shared another story with Mr. Kannan earlier about our success story working in different districts, and it was published in the publication The Better India. We are very happy to share that, and I'll work with Mr. Kannan to make sure that people get the right information. So I think I've been talking too much, so it's a nice segue for probably the second video. And then I have an amazing story about Government of Karnataka, that our work with across Karnataka, that I want to talk about.
Okay. Well, which video do you want me to share now? Like
the Paul Newman and the history of Safe Water Network, the second video, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Try and make sure I can get it this time correct. You able to see the screen now? Yeah, the YouTube screen.
We can. Yeah.
Okay.
Actor, philanthropist, visionary. Paul Newman recognized that water is one of the great challenges of the 21st century. He joined forces with 2 titans of industry, John Whitehead, former chair of Goldman Sachs, and Josh Weston, former CEO and chair of ADP.
Safe Water Network was one of the most important things, I think, that he started.
And the mission shall be to create an example of how to install water stations that are sustainable over time.
They were these unlikely partners coming together and just creating great things.
He told us that millions of children died every year because of a lack of safe drinking water.
What we do with Safe Water Network is address a colossal public health problem.
17 countries are currently facing extremely high water stress.
Victoria Sura lives on the outskirts of Juba City. Every day, she struggles to get water.
This burden of gathering water each day falls disproportionately on millions of women and children around the world. For Theodora, that journey was not only difficult, it was dangerous.
During dry season, we normally suffer a lot from a water problem. You have only one well that we all depend on. Working here sometimes becomes a very big headache when it comes to water. Normally, when you are going there at dawn, it's very scary.
Theodora and the other families of New Ajena braved this 1.5 kilometer journey for contaminated water 6 times a day. On each trip, they could face extreme heat, wild animals, even strangers in the bush. A few months ago, Safe Water Network helped Theodora's village open a small water enterprise.
Now that Safe Water is around, just getting your card and going to the ATM to just get a clean water anytime, even at dawn.
Safe Water Network is providing support and training in New Ajena to keep safe water flowing long term.
We are grateful for what they have done for us. Correct.
Now in more than 400 communities in Africa and India, Safe Water Network is also helping to solve this global crisis by partnering with others, providing technical assistance, hosting forums, and publishing field insights.
I was speaking with a chief in the community and he said, Safe Water Network has transformed how we access water and how we're known within other surrounding communities.
And it's also wonderful that this is a project that can be scaled up. To see what is happening in this community gives me hope that we can offer clean water all around the country.
All of us have a responsibility, don't we, to make some contribution to the greater world out there beyond us, to those who are not as lucky as we were. Just one person can make a big difference, as Paul did.
What could be better than to hold your hand out to people who are less fortunate than you are?
Thank you, Kannan. I see some very interesting questions, and again, I just want to take a minute again to put this in context. There are celebrities and there are celebrities, right? It's amazing to see a celebrity, and we are all here together because of another amazing role model of a celebrity in Tamil Nadu. But if you see what Paul Newman has done, you know, where is Paul Newman? Where is India? Where is Paul Newman? Where is Ghana? But he used his legacy. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he used his celebrity status and his legacy to make an impact on communities around the world. And someone asked me about a question about employment. You saw in India, it was in Telangana. People also deliver water. Many of these water IGL stations and water stations, they actually do water because they have a rickshaw, they have a bicycle, they have a 3-wheeler, and they actually deliver to small businesses and hotels and restaurants in that entire area. That's another way it generates more employment. Somebody had asked me this question about the cost of water. Typically, it costs about 5 rupees for 20 liters of water. What our math has shown is that with just 200 to 250 rupees, a family of 3 or 4 can get all the water they need for the entire month. And we are trying some new approaches wherein we are giving, you saw people can just use their RFID card. They don't even need just 24/7 water. So we are also looking at ways in which money can be preloaded into their cards, and they can including from the government subsidies, and they can get access to the safe water. So, and we all know, even a daily laborer, in the Indian context, sometimes, again, it's a range, but he or she earns 300 to 500 rupees per day. So when people were skeptical, they said, oh, why should I pay for water? Why should I'm happy drinking the water from the bore well, from the well. Our argument was, look, if you fall ill and lose 1 day's wage, it is more than your entire month's water expenses. So it took a little bit of education and behavior change, because unlike the government, we cannot afford to provide free water because it has to be a sustainable enterprise. And there are situations in other parts of the country where the government has further subsidized and given the water at 2 rupees for 20 liters. But now it's actually become 4 to 5 rupees. So that's the story of the celebrity who started the Safe Water Network organization I wanted to share, because of another role model of a celebrity that has brought us together.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Just to clarify, the cost of water, 1 can water, 20 liter water, purified clean water, 5 rupees. So that's the rate at which you can get from Safe Water. So yeah, okay. And then now we have other questions on the. I know you answered Mati from Canada. You answered his question, but I'm going to unmute him. Maybe Mati is he is always very participatory, so he may have further question on that. So let me see, Mati.
Please. You are muted, sir.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir. First, thanks for your time, sir. It's a very knowledgeable session. It's kind of an eye-opener, especially the clean water to reach a lower level of people it's a great achievement, sir. Best wishes. Thank you, sir. I understand that you were ready to share whatever knowledge your group brought up with, but in the same time, if you could send us any URL, where public portal kind of thing, so just we can go and just high level try to understand a bit more. That would be great, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. What we will do is, after this call, today is Sunday, so we'll all relax the rest of Sunday. But in the next day or two, we will send you some links, and we will even send you some PDF documents and so on. That shows you, that will give you some high level and context and understanding of the kind of intervention we are doing. And I want to take 2 minutes to explain another amazing success story, in my opinion, in the state of Karnataka. And the government of Karnataka installed about 5-6 years ago 18,000 stations across the state. 18,000 stations. The purpose was same, just like ours, provide safe, clean water to underserved communities across the state of Karnataka. Karnataka is again one of the most arid states, and getting clean, safe water is a problem. Unfortunately, we know how many of the government investments work, and I'm not, our work is very, very apolitical. Our work is to serve the community. Nobody will admit it in public, and I won't even share the percentage. It's your guess. A majority of the stations stopped working anywhere from 6 months to 1 year after they were installed. Crores and crores of rupees, hundreds of crores of rupees had been invested in this. A newspaper did a survey, an anecdotal survey from district to district. In some of the districts, they came up, it's their number, I don't know, 70 to 80% of the stations were shut down. They had become cowsheds. They were using it to dry clothes in the winter, in the rainy season. Some of them had become gambling dens, and so on and so forth. So I approached the minister and said, sir, give us a chance to do something. Worked with my colleagues who had already been doing some amazing work and had already established a rapport with the government of Karnataka. Fast forward 18 months, it took us 18 months to get there. Fast forward 18 months, we are now technical advisors and technical support people for government of Karnataka. There's an official white paper on our website. You can see it. We have taken up 8 to 10 streams of work, and we are helping the government. We are not directly doing it. We are bringing our technical expertise and helping the government fix those stations. We have already put 9,000 of those 18,000 stations on track, on a track of transformation, fixing, rejuvenation. Most of them are beginning to work now. I use that example because we bring our technical expertise and technical skills to states that already have some kind of their own setup and can use our services. So we are sitting, there is a Bhavan called Kaveri Bhavan. Everyone in Tamil Nadu will know Kaveri. So there's a Kaveri Bhavan, which is the Rural Water Supply Ministry and the Jal Board office of Government of Karnataka. We are embedded. They've given us a room there. We sit there and we advise. You may not be surprised. Before consulting the chief engineers and the executive engineers, the commissioner actually consults our team for technical information. So we are very proud to serve the state of Karnataka and help fix those 18,000. It's actually, we actually did a survey. There are actually 18,900 stations. It serves half the state's population, literally, of the 70 million people. 35 million people are dependent on this water. And let me add one more thing. You've all seen how small towns and cities around the state, they've all grown in size, but the water supply and water pipe connections have not reached those places. Even middle-class families, they don't have any water supply except these water kiosks, because the pipe connection has not even reached their localities and the residential areas, because these are all new suburbs that have mushroomed out of these around these towns and cities. Now, I'm not talking about big cities like Chennai, Coimbatore, and Madurai. I'm talking about some of the smaller towns and cities that have suddenly sprawled and grown. So that is the kind of technical assistance we provide, including there are 90 water testing laboratories in Karnataka. None of them are equipped to test all the right parameters, and our people are actually training and doing a assessment of these laboratories. We are actually going from the district of Ballari. The ZP, the Jilla Panchayat CEO, was very proactive. He called us and said, no, I would definitely want you to train all the operators of these stations. We conducted a week-long technical training for these operators. So that's what I mean by knowledge sharing and secondary impact that we are able to have on these communities. And we are very proud of that. So
it's a good example that you provided, Venkat, about how you tied in with this government of Karnataka. One of the objectives of these sessions for us from M&M is once when Mr. Kamal Haasan and M&M comes into power, we hope to tap into your kind of expertise, and then use them to improve our lives in Tamil Nadu. So I have a question on regeneration, of lake beds and water bodies, and what do you do about them? But I will also tie it in with, I will ask Bhargavi. She has a question on desalination. I will let her ask the question directly.
Okay.
Bhargavi, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Kannan sir, Nandri, and Vanakkam sir, Vanakkam Venki sir. Great to have you here on our show. And my question for you is about the process of desalination of seawater, preferably in South India, being the peninsula country, we have enormous sea water that is being surrounded, and can we use the process of desalination so that it would benefit the people, number one, and what is the cost involved in making the arrangements as far as the desalination of seawater concerned? And I have another quick question about interlinking of all rivers in India. And I understand the complexity of this topic. I don't want to get into too much details about it, but I feel like, people like you probably can convey your message to all governments, be it respective state governments, about the urge of interlinking of all rivers, leaving aside the political complications behind. So these are the two questions I have for you. Thank you.
Vanakkam Bhargavi madam, and thank you for your questions. Well, you've asked such macro level questions. I really, anyway, I think all I can say is, as I said in the beginning, there's a very specific aspect of safe drinking water that we focus on. And first of all, I'm not a water expert at all. Two, I don't want to. My colleagues who are really on the ground will be able to better answer that question. But my simplistic response and short-term response is, I'm told I'm told that from a cost perspective, it's very prohibitive for the Indian context to be looking at desalination. Who knows, 5 years, 10 years from now, some miraculous, like we are trying to find the vaccine for the pandemic, some miraculous technology might come in. No, we never thought that the mobile phone, smartphone penetration will go like that, and we will be able to leapfrog. Who knows? But I am told that in the Gulf countries, in the rich countries, they are able to afford some bit of desalination because they are able to invest that kind of money and so on. But otherwise, for a resource-starved context like India, I'm told it's very difficult. Two, I don't know. Again, I'm not the right person to comment about the interlinking of rivers, but I have seen small examples, and one other person, one other leading politician in Karnataka was sharing, and I am aware of this example of how polluted water has been channeled to a very, very arid district outside of Bangalore, very dry district, one of the driest districts in the country, has been channeled, and a specific cost-effective processing plant has been set up. So this is the contaminated water from one particular river has been channeled through a particular canal that has been built to an arid district, and the processing and filtration technique has been involved. And that has actually become an amazing source of water to the agricultural lands of that entire district and increased productivity and so on. So there are, in other words, there are success stories. There are smaller success stories of how river water and these kind of larger solutions have been put to work. I'm not an irrigation expert. I'm not a river expert to comment on that. But all I can say is, and it goes back to the tanks and lakes, if you look at many of our, and I'm told Chennai is similar. I don't know Chennai as well as I know Bangalore. Bangalore was a city filled with, the residential areas was in between all the lakes and rivers. Now you have to really find where the lake bed is, right? So you only find out the lake bed when there is a torrential downpour and everything submerges, right? And when water flows into the households, then you see pictures of first floor level homes and even second floor level homes being submerged in water. Then oh, this was a lake once upon a time. So we need to, I don't know how much we can reverse this damage that we have done to our urban spaces, particularly of encroaching tank beds and river beds and so on. So our own approach has been, we can't tackle some of the very big problems. Those are macro problems, but at least we integrate that into our behavior change and education activities. That's the best that we can do while providing clean water. So I hope that may not be the best answer, but that's my safest answer.
That was well done. But to answer your question, Chennai is built on lake beds too. So all the housing and everything. So
which I heard, yeah.
Bangalore. So next we have Miss Linda Johnson from London. She has a question. Linda, please go ahead.
Please.
Yeah, hello, Venki. This is Linda here. Tumba sandosha. Nimma nodide namge tumba sandosha.
Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you, Venki. Because I hail from Bangalore. I started my career. And I'm just interlinking my career because I started with a listed company with Aditya Birla Group, and I worked for Stammschule Group, which is a private sector, a German MNC.
SSS, Stammschule Somappa.
Absolutely, Venki. So I was part of the leadership team in Stammschule Somappa, and I've worked under CSR for both Aditya Birla Group and as well as Stammschule, and I can relate, one being a listed company and the other being purely 100% private company. So listed companies, though they have statutory mandate, they need to, when they go to adopt villages, it's so difficult to find the villages because the local community, they are not ready to accept that people are volunteering for the need of the society. And this is happening globally, I think, across India, because there are the local bodies who don't want others to come and enrich or absorb their space. While coming to private companies, though they don't have the mandate of the Statutory Companies Act mandate, they are ready to spend, not 2%, they are ready to spend 5 to 10% of their net profits. But then here again, the same hassle. So I have personally seen more than doing in Karnataka, our management, they've gone to Andhra and they have like literally done, in fact, the same water beds, I mean, water, clean water, the project has been implemented in Andhra. So, how do you see this, Venki? Is this like a social effect? Because when people are ready to volunteer, how does the community need to take this up? Thank you.
No, it's a great point you raise, and it just it also opens the Pandora's box, as they say, and it's a very touchy subject, if you will. No, first of all, I want to share that we are very, very lucky and proud to have partners like Honeywell in India. Honeywell has been an amazing partner. You saw their logo in. We are working with USAID, which is an amazing partner for us. They've really supported this alliance effort, and in some ways, it's ironic that someone from outside, quote unquote, outside, had to push us to work collectively. But we have taken the spirit of that, and it's been an amazing success. There are other companies like Pentair, which is a Minnesota, USA-based company that produces water filters, and we work with them. But all I can say is, again, it's a very complex subject in the sense there are some amazing companies, and there's a lot of resource there that we can actually leverage. One is the financial resource. Then there is all the other technology and all the other project management skills and all the amazing volunteers and people who are really willing to invest their time and energies and resources into making a change or being a part of the change. As I said earlier, it goes back to another point I made earlier. It is very important to win the trust of the community before you are able to go and begin any intervention. And we've been, again, very lucky to be able to win the trust of the community before doing that. But unfortunately, again, as I mentioned earlier, we will be very happy if people are not roadblocks. And you will agree with me, maybe I've already indicated, I'm an optimist. I'm always focused on solutions and not problems. But sometimes it makes you wonder, right? Why are people stopping good work? Why are these people so cynical? Why are these people such roadblocks, right? In many cases, if people don't do anything, that's much better than doing anything good, right? So as we have seen, overcoming these roadblocks, overcoming these conflicts in the local area, that is actually a bigger hassle. In fact, sometimes it will drain on your energy to do that. But one thing that has been a consistent factor for Safe Water Network and what I've seen in my career is it's very important to partner with local credible organizations, right? Knowing literally the language, literally and metaphorically, speaking the local language, engaging with the local community. So even in Telangana, we have some amazing local NGO partners who do a lot of other work with the community, and we use them as bridges, as our conduits to the community. So bringing your own credibility, bringing your own moral authority, and identifying the local credible partners is so crucial to the success, because unfortunately we have created an environment of suspicion, we have created an environment of unwanted complexity, and even you go with a good intention, with a simple expectation of making a good positive impact, there's always mistrust and suspicion and all this negativity that suddenly emerges. So the only way to do that is to really work with credible local partners. I hope that is convincing enough.
No, thank you for your answer. Thank you for your question, Linda. So we need to move on quickly to next. We have Mr. Balamurugan from Chennai. He has got a question for you, Venki. Balamurugan.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. My name is Balamurugan. I am from Chennai. Thank you so much for your precious time for sharing your thoughts and suggestions in the water saving and safe water. My question is, sir, we are in Chennai. We are fully dependent on Chennai Metro Water. We don't have lakes, or we don't have wells, everything to get the real good water to take the source. So we are fully dependent on Metro Water. Now, in the Chennai, we have fully that all the neighboring villages like Trulur or Chengalpattu, we have a lot of the mineral waters companies came over. So that I hear that you told us that minimum the small plantation cost would be the 25 to 30 lakhs. This is for some 1,000 people or 1,500 people to get that water. My question is, we are living in that 5-family apartment, a small apartment. Is it possible to have a small plant, investing 1 lakh or 2 lakh for our own apartment to get the safe water? Because now we are spending, although we are paying a water tax to our Tamil Nadu Metro Water and Tamil Nadu government, we are spent monthly nearly 1,000 or 1,500 rupees per family we are spending here. So my question is, we have 5-family apartments is there. So is it possible to plant a small plant for the safe water? Is it possible, sir?
Is my audio on?
Yes, it is on.
Okay, okay. Sir, thank you for your question, and I wish I had a solution for you, but I can't think of a solution right away. But all I wanted, you gave me a right opening to share something that was recently published in the Hindu. This is a Chennai story. I hope all of you can see it. There are my colleagues again would be better at answering that, because I don't consider myself a water expert. But there are the point of source filtration systems that are out in the market, and you know, that is the difference between middle class households and poorer households. You know, many of us can afford having our own little filtration systems in our homes, and you know, most people today, I see that they don't drink the water directly from the taps. People who can afford point of delivery filtration systems. So that is the best solution that I've seen in the market. I don't know of any smaller. Yes, there are other filtration techniques and filtration units that are at much smaller, much lower cost than ours. But the performance of theirs is quite questionable. So I honestly don't have a solution. But if there is anything that I can find out, I will definitely let you know. But I just wanted to share this story of the Chennai suburbs. Right, this is the work that we're doing in partnership. You see how these water ATMs are being set up in the urban areas. And in fact, we are partnered with USAID and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs of Government of India to operate and work to pilot these urban solutions in about 25 cities. And as I said, you know, even my own home in one of the areas of Bangalore, you know, when suddenly the municipal supply stops for 2 days, we all run to the kiosk, which is at the corner of the street, and we collect drinking water from there and bring it home. So that's the best I can say. But what we are doing is we are setting up what are known as knowledge centers, which means that people can learn, you know, particular cities can learn from these stations and from these knowledge centers and actually replicate and find all kinds of other solutions. So that's what we have been attempting through the USAID and Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs project. And because of COVID, we have not been able to actively roll out, but already the knowledge centers and water ATMs are being set up in multiple cities like Hyderabad and Chennai and other cities. So that is the best answer I can provide, sir, right now.
So Balamurugan, you'll have to wait for a little longer to have this plant in your apartment complex. Thank you for that, Venki. Moving on, we have a couple of other questions. Next one is Ms. Deepa. I think she's in Bangalore, or maybe she's in Chennai now. She wants to ask a question. Deepa, please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Venki. It's a pleasure to talk to you here, regarding safe water. Which we are always looking forward. I've seen a lot of this water ATM in Bangalore, almost most of the streets. I understand that there are a lot of lakes here, so it is easy to provide. So how about having this water ATMs in and around Chennai? Because as you are aware, Chennai, it's basically very, very water crisis places. So guide us a process, how you can make it in Chennai.
Deepa ma'am, thank you for your question, and hello to you. I think as I was talking about it, I will send you after this call, tomorrow or day after, we'll send you information about the Small Water Enterprise Alliance that we have created. Safe Water Network, again, India's scale and need is too huge. I can definitely tell you, we don't see Safe Water Network directly coming and operating in Tamil Nadu in the foreseeable future. Let's hope we would love to do that, but in the foreseeable future, it's tough. Having said that, we would love to partner and collaborate, even do the knowledge sharing with local partners. And it is one of such partnerships is actually what resulted in that Hindu story, which I'll send you the link. So these stations that you see in Bangalore were set up by Government of Karnataka, which is what were dysfunctional and we are helping fix. So we will try and, we will see who are the other organizations in Chennai and Tamil Nadu that are already working, and we will see how to actually scale what is already being done. What you saw were maybe a small handful of stations, even particular localities were mentioned there, but we'll see if we can support them to scale further, especially because of this USAID project. That's the best that I can offer right now. Knowledge sharing, technology sharing, collaboration, and supportive services is definitely what we are willing to provide. And we'll see, I'll talk to my colleagues and see who exactly our partners in Chennai are and what replication can happen. But we'll do our best on that front. As I said, we need about 100 safe water networks around the country right now. So, and organizations like ours, but unfortunately, we are too few in numbers.
That's right.
For the need.
That's a great question, Deepa. Thank you for that. Venki, we would really love to hear from you on how this partnership is working in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai especially, but that needs to be replicated across Tamil Nadu, no doubt. I have Mr. Subramaniam, he's in Chennai. He's got a question, if he is still there. Subramaniam?
Yeah, I'm there. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes,
okay.
Mr. Subramaniam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for. I'm just excited about this model. I just like the model. My question is more or less similar to what was asked by Mr. Balamurugan, but slightly different or few steps more in the aspect that can we do this portable version of this model? Meaning that I have a source, right? I have a farmhouse near Chennai, slightly outside part of the Chennai. I have a farmhouse of 10 acres. I have a huge well, about the farming, huge well. The source is ready. The water is there. Can I set up a portable version of this model just for our own consumption? Plus, I just want to extend it to that villagers, the children. I'm seeing that, the villagers are really struggling for water, good water. I want to help those poor people as well in terms of making it portable water affordable to us, as well as, just help each other, not only ourselves and also the villagers around that. Is it possible, and how much it costs, if at all it's possible?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Balasubramaniam, for your question. Again, I will say this, what I've said earlier is, at the cost of repetition, there is a concept called economy of scale. So unless you have a cluster of stations, the model is hard to execute, because I cannot go to a remote part of a country and set up one station. It just doesn't, the sustainability of the model just doesn't work that way. Where it works is unless you have 18 to 20 stations in one particular area, in one particular district, the whole scale, the economy of scale then starts working, conducively for that execution. That's why the Karnataka model of 18,000 stations set up by the government, or Telangana, where we have set up about 300 plus stations, or in Gadchiroli district, where we were invited to set up a whole bunch of stations. You need the economy of scale to be effective. If a particular district wants 20 to 25 stations, and if there is a collective effort, then it's feasible. That's all I can say. But having said that, I really welcome your noble intention, not only to meet your own needs, but to serve the community. Hopefully with the huge demand and the huge interest, there are multiple sources, as one of our other friends just mentioned. There is there are government resources to be unlocked. There is CSR resources to be unlocked. There is the diaspora resources to be unlocked. That is how we have been able to make it successful in Telangana and Maharashtra and so on. And you won't believe it, even our own Karnataka efforts, the government is only covering 50 to 60% of the actual cost needed. We are raising money to execute that. So it needs a collectivization of resources to be able to make something like that possible. So I just want to be very realistic about that. It's not like something that you can go to an isolated place and set up. We get random requests. Someone from Odisha reached out to us and said, "Oh, I want to do something in my village. Can you set up one station?" It doesn't work that way, because you need servicing, you need scale, you need operations and management and so on and so forth. So having said that, let's see how this groundswell of interest and support can actually come together to see if some solutions can be brought forth.
Yeah,
and before I close, I'm okay for the next few minutes chatting, and we do have a very small short video to conclude, but I'm really excited about all the questions, and
yes.
Again, my answers and my solutions are limited and very, very specific, but I'm open to continuing the dialogue as long as the group is
that's very nice of you to offer, Venki. Just before we do a vote of thanks, and then we can run your video at the end. There was one other question on the chat box, asking about, do you do any research on controlling the pollutants from agriculture, industrial pollutants into the water bodies? Do you have any research, or do you do anything on that? This is from Madam Sushila.
Great question. As I said, it's an issue that connects to so many aspects of change as well as our lives. Right? There is a public health angle to this. There is a gender angle to this. There is a economic prosperity angle to this. There is a whole, science and environment aspect to this. We are focused on a very particular sustainable solution. We have some amazing water quality experts with us who are global experts who have advised large global organizations from WHO to others. You saw in the video Dr. Rita Colwell, and I thank you for this is a great opening. You saw Dr. Rita Colwell. Please Google her. She's the only person, I should say, on earth who has received the Stockholm Water Prize and the Singapore Water Prize. No other person has received both those water prizes. She has done some amazing research on waterborne diseases in South Asia. We are proud to have access to such people. We are offering their knowledge, their skills, and their competencies. And I have another amazing colleague who was a very, very senior person in a corporate company. He's now offering his water quality services to us. And we have those things, but we don't have the crores and crores of rupees to go and set up a water quality lab and research on. We see in the state of Punjab, where agricultural pollutants and other pollutants have contaminated the water to such extent that the cancer levels have gone up like crazy. So we are seeing the effects of chemical pollutants on drinking water. But unfortunately, our resource constraints do not allow us to be able to do all these aspects related to water. These are millions of dollars, billions of pounds, and crores of rupees of investment you're talking about. I'm having a hard time convincing my people here to raise money for my projects in Karnataka and Telangana and so on. I wish people were more generous and governments were more efficient. But as I said, we are helping 90 water laboratories in Karnataka improve their standards. So that is the kind of technical competency we are bringing, and we are happy to bring that wherever needed for the good reasons.
Thank you for that, Venki, and thank you, Sushila, madam. So should I cut to the video before we do the vote of thanks, Venki?
I think the closing video and if you give me 1 or 2 minutes to frame
I'll
the
do the video
then,
first, and then
please,
you want to.
Please play that last video.
Okay, let me do that. Just 1 second.
everyone to the Safe Water Network's Water for All Bowl. I'm happy to be your chair tonight, honoring the founders of this important organization. My friends Paul Newman and John Whitehead, who, with Josh Weston, founded the Safe Water Network in 2006. What they did was extraordinary. They started the initiative that brings us together tonight, and the world is in their debt.
Even here at home, the urgency of ensuring that we have children and families and communities with clean drinking water is real.
Paul, John, and Josh were quite a powerful team. The founding of Safe Water Network was the right and necessary challenge for these three to take on.
It's actually really hard for me to say how meaningful Safe Water Network was for my dad. It literally was his greatest priority towards the end of his life.
We have revamped our dignity and our pride and our glory as human beings by having access to good, clean, and safe water.
That's all right, baby. Yeah, come on. We got to talk about the. Come on now. Oh, yes, I love you, baby. You know that's true. With your sunshine. Come on now, baby. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Oh! Get down. Get up. Do it like it hurt, baby. Like it hurt, baby. What you don't like, what, baby? Yeah. Baby, can you breathe? I got this from Jamaica. It always works for me. Dakota to Decatur. No more pretending, cause now you're winning. Give me stop faking it. Come on. That's right. Yeah, baby, I'm talking to you. You know I love you, baby. You know I love you, baby. But sometimes we keep on talking about things. And that's all right. And that's all right. That's all right. You know I need that. Come on now, baby. I love you so much, baby. Ow! Come on. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Kannan. I just want to say one or two things before handing it back. As someone asked, I wish we didn't. We are talking about safe water. You might wonder why all this whining and dining in the city of New York. Raising awareness is important. Raising money is important. I wish somebody just gave us the resources to just do the good work on the ground. We wouldn't be doing all that. But it's also fabulous to have the celebrity and the legacy of Mr. Paul Newman behind us. And you saw actor Robert De Niro, who's a friend of Paul Newman, who championed our cause. You saw Nora Jones, who has a strong tie to India, as you all know, was performing there. We were able to raise some decent money at that event. Mr. Anupam Kher was able to join us that evening. So all I want to say is, we love what we do on the ground. It's very humbling when you go into the villages, when you go into the communities, and you also realize your own sense of privilege and how lucky you are. It's something we take for granted. But to be able to go into the communities and do this, so we really feel privileged. But it's a daily battle to raise the resources needed to be able to do that kind of work that happens on the ground. But we do it with a lot of pride and we do it with a lot of humility all the time. But before I close, I don't know if Marisa is still on the call, but Marisa, would you like to say anything? Would you like to add anything to all that I said all this while?
You can unmute yourself, Marisa.
Yes,
hello,
Marisa.
everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know it's been a really great conversation. Thank you, Venki, and thank you, Kanan, for all of this. I think it's a very important topic that we need to continue staying engaged in. And I do hope that there will be other similar conversations coming in the near future. So thank you all.
Thank you, Marisa.
Well, thank you, Marisa. Again, I'm really, for people like Marisa and me, yes, it is a job. It is it's an organization, but we do it for the love of it. And our energy comes from the warmth and the interest of all of you. Mr. Kannan, he just came into contact with me like 3 weeks ago, and we were doing another amazing global event, and I asked him to join, and he immediately invited me. And so it's so touching to be able to talk to all of you. It's a complex subject. We only have small solutions, only very limited solutions. But I think if we all work together, we can make everybody's lives better. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and Safe Water Network is grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Kannan. Over to you.
Absolutely, Venki. You already enriched my life by coming into contact with me. And I'm quick to leverage these kind of contacts. So that's something I need to thank my father for. He's very good at leveraging it for the general use, not for personal selfish reason. With that said, thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to Badri Santanam, my colleague here in the UK, to proffer a vote of thanks. Badri, please go ahead.
Thanks, Kannan. Thank you very much, Mr. Venki, for coming and joining us today and sharing your wonderful thoughts and the kind of work you've been doing in relation to the Safe Water Network, touching upon topics around women's empowerment and also entrepreneurship. And to emphasize the point, M&M and its president, Mr. Kamal Hassan, he's the party and the leader are very keen on such topics. And also as a part of last year's Lok Sabha elections, I don't know whether you've noticed, one of the key policy points for M&M was to provide tapped drinking water to the state of Tamil Nadu. So I hope, if the party gets the mandate in the next year's assembly elections, we will, we'll be, really proud, and we'll be very elated to, join hands with you and, keep the collaboration going. And, because we are, generally a party with the difference, and we, and the president is very keen that he engages with all these different kinds of experts, in various fields. So thank you very much today. You've been patiently answering our questions, and, and great work to your team as well. And hope you go on and do much greater things. And also like to thank all the other M&M friends as well across the globe, right from Chennai. We have Balamurugan sir, Kanimara Balakrishnan, and Bangalore. We have, Bhargavi, Deepa, across the globe here and on the other side as well in Europe, as well as in North America. A lot of people, Madhi sir, Francois, Linda, Sendil Ram, whoever has joined. If I've missed out a few names, I'm really sorry about that, but it's been definitely a great experience, and, wonderful, examples shared, and also the videos were very inspirational. And, definitely we hope to leverage on this key topics, and looking forward to a great collaboration in the near future. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks, Kannan.
Good day, Nandri, and
Nandri. Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you all. Bye.